In a small, peaceful village called Nembe, there lived a kind woman named Lillian. She was poor and had no family of her own. She lived in a tiny hut made of mud and straw, surrounded by a small garden where she grew vegetables. Lillian's life was simple, but she was content. She loved her village and the people in it. The villagers knew Lillian as someone who would always lend a helping hand, even though she had very little herself. One day, while gathering firewood in the nearby forest, Lillian heard a strange noise. It was unlike anything she had ever heard before. A soft groan that came from behind a thick bush. Lillian's heart skipped a beat as she carefully moved closer to see what it was. To her surprise, she found a young man lying on the ground, unconscious and dirty. His clothes were torn and his face was pale. Lillian's heart was filled with concern. She knew she had to help him. She knelt beside the young man and gently shook his shoulder. "Wake up," she whispered, but he didn't respond. Lillian quickly fetched some water from a nearby stream and sprinkled it on his face. Slowly, his eyes fluttered open, and he looked around in confusion. "Where am I?" the young man asked in a weak voice. "You're in Nembe village," Lillian replied kindly. "I found you here, unconscious. Are you hurt?" The young man tried to sit up, but he winced the pain. "I don't remember what happened," he said, his voice trembling. "Thank you for helping me." Lillian helped him to his feet and led him back to her hut. She gave him food and water, and as he ate, she couldn't help but wonder who he was and where he had come from. The young man, who introduced himself as Eden, couldn't remember anything about his past. He didn't know where he came from or how he ended up in the forest. Lillian decided to let him stay with her until he regained his strength and his memories. As the days passed, Lillian and Eden became good friends. Lillian enjoyed having someone to talk to, and Eden was grateful for her kindness. They spent their days working together in the garden, fetching water and exploring the forest. But every now and then, Eden would get a faraway look in his eyes, as if he was trying to remember something important. One day, while they were walking through the forest, Eden stumbled upon a sparkling stone, half buried in the depths. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. With a strange glow that seemed to pulse with energy, Eden picked it up and showed it to Lillian. "Look at this," Eden exclaimed. "It is beautiful, isn't it?" Lillian nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. "Yes, it is. I've never seen a stone like this before. It feels special." Eden agreed. The stone seemed to hum with a mysterious power, and they both felt an urge to take it back to the village and show it to the elders. When they arrived at the village, the elders gathered around to examine the stone. They were all amazed by its beauty, but they also felt uneasy. There was something about the stone that made them nervous, as if it was hiding a secret. The eldest among them, a wise woman named Binta, spoke up. "This stone is no ordinary stone," she said. "It is a powerful object and it has chosen you, Eden. You must find out where it came from and what it means." Lillian and Eden exchanged worried looks. They had no idea where to start or what the stone's purpose was, but they knew they had to find out. The next morning, they packed some supplies and set off on a journey to uncover the mystery of the stone. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the stone began to glow brighter, guiding them towards an unknown destination. But the further they went, the more dangerous the journey became. The forest was full of strange creatures and hidden traps, and they had to rely on each other to survive. After days of walking, they came across an ancient, overgrown path that led to a cave hidden deep in the mountains. The stone's glow became even more intense, as if it was leading them towards something important. But Lillian and Eden were hesitant to enter the cave. There was a strange feeling in the air, as if the cave was alive and watching them. They knew they had no choice but to continue. As they stepped inside the cave, the entrance closed behind them with a loud crash, trapping them in darkness. The only light came from the glowing stone, which seemed to be pulsing faster, like a heartbeat. Lillian and Eden held each other's hands, their hearts pounding in fear. They didn't know what awaited them inside the cave, but they knew they had to keep moving forward. The cave was filled with twists and turns, and at every corner they faced new challenges and dangers. At one point, they came across a deep chasm with no visible way across. The stone globe pointed to a narrow ledge along the edge of the chasm, but it was so thin that one misstep could send them plunging into the darkness below. Lillian's leg trembled as she stepped onto the ledge, her heart racing with fear, but Eden held her hand tightly and guided her carefully across. They could feel the cold wind rushing past them, threatening to knock them off balance, but they kept going, determined to reach the other side. When they finally made it across, they collapsed in relief, but their ordeal was far from over. Deeper into the cave, they encountered strange glowing plants that tried to ensnare them with their vines. The plants seemed to move on their own, reaching out for them like hungry animals. Eden swung a stick at that vine, cutting them away as they tried to grab Lillian. The plants screeched in anger, their glow intensifying, but Eden kept fighting them off until they were able to escape. They were tired, scared, and unsure of what they would face next, but they knew they had to keep going. The stone glow was leading them deeper into the cave, towards something they could not yet understand. As they continued, they came to a large chamber filled with ancient carvings and strange symbols on the walls. In the center of the chamber was a stone pedestal, and on it rested a large ornate chest. The chest was covered in dust, as if it had been forgotten for centuries. Eden felt a strange pull towards the chest, as if it was pulling out to him. He stepped forward and placed the glowing stone on the pedestal. The chest creaked open, revealing a scroll inside. Lillian and Eden unrolled the scroll and read the ancient writing. It spoke of a powerful treasure hidden deep within the cave, a treasure that could bring great wisdom and power to those who found it. But it also warned that the treasure was guarded by a fearsome creature, and only those who were brave and kind could claim it. Lillian and Eden exchanged nervous glances. They had come this far, but they didn't know if they were ready to face the final challenge. But they knew they had to try. They took the scroll and continued deeper into the cave. The air grew colder, and the light from the stone began to flicker, as if it was struggling to stay lit. The cave seemed to be alive, whispering to them in a language they couldn't understand. Finally, they reached the heart of the cave, a massive chamber with a glowing pool of water in the center. The stone's light revealed a shadowy figure lurking in the darkness, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. Lillian's heart pounded in her chest as the creature stepped into the light. It was a huge, fearsome lion with a golden mane and piercing eyes. The lion let out a deafening roar, shaking the walls of the cave. Eden stepped forward, his voice steady despite his fear. "We mean no harm," he said. "We have come seeking the treasure of wisdom. Please, let us pass." The lion growled, his eyes narrowing as he studied them. "You have shown courage and kindness," the lion said in a deep, rumbling voice. "But to claim the treasure, you must prove your worth." Lillian and Eden knew they had to face their greatest fears. The lion's eyes glowed brighter, and the ground beneath them began to tremble. They could feel the cave closing in around them, the darkness pressing down on their hearts. But they stood their ground, holding on to each other for strength. They remembered the journey they had taken, the dangers they had faced, and the bond they had formed. They knew that they had the courage and kindness needed to face the final challenge. The lion's gaze softened as it stepped inside, revealing a hidden door behind it. "You have proven yourselves worthy," the lion said. "The treasure is yours." Lillian and Eden opened the door and found themselves in a magnificent chamber filled with sparkling jewels and golden treasures. In the center of the room was a beautiful ancient chest, much larger than the one they had seen before. They opened the chest and found a glowing scroll inside, just like the one they had found earlier. But this scroll was different. It was filled with wisdom and knowledge, and as they read it, they felt a warm, comforting light envelop them. They knew they had found something truly special, a treasure that would bring great wisdom and power to their village. They took the scroll and made their way back through the cave, the lion watching them with a proud gaze. When they finally emerged from the cave, they were greeted by the animals from the forest who had been waiting for them. The wise old tortoise, the clever monkey, and the graceful gazelle all smiled at them, their eyes filled with pride. "You have completed your journey," the tortoise said. "The treasure of wisdom is now yours. Use it wisely to help your village and bring prosperity to your people." Lillian and Eden thanked the animals and returned to Nembe village. The villagers were overjoyed to see them and eagerly listened to their story. They were amazed by the treasure they had found and the wisdom it brought. But the most surprising part of the story was yet to come. One day, a group of royal guards arrived in the village, searching for a missing prince who had disappeared many months ago. To everyone's astonishment, they recognized Eden as the lost prince. Eden was shocked. He had no memory of being a prince, but the guards assured him it was true. They told him how he had set out on a journey to find the treasure of wisdom and had lost his memory along the way. Despite this revelation, Eden decided to stay in Nembe village with Lillian. He felt at home there and wanted to use his newfound wisdom to help the people who had become his family. Together, they worked to make the village a better place, and under their guidance, Nembe flourished. The villagers were proud to have a prince among them, but to Lillian, Eden would always be the kind stranger she had found in the forest. Their friendship grew stronger with each passing day, and they continued to share the simple, happy life. And so, the village of Nembe prospered, and the tale of Lillian and the lost prince became a legend, passed down through generations. It was a story of courage, kindness, and the power of a pure heart. A story that reminded everyone of the importance of helping others and facing their fears.